आज हम पढ़ेंगे द ओल्ड मैन एंड द सी समरी by Ernest Hemingway. The Old Man and the Sea, a short heroic novel by Ernest Hemingway, was published in 1952 and was awarded in 1953 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. It was his last major work of fiction. The story centers on an aging fisherman who engages in an epic battle to catch a giant marlin. The central character is an old Cuban fisherman named Santiago who has not caught a fish for 84 days. The family of his apprentice Manolin has forced the boy to leave the old fisherman. Though Manolin continues to support him with food and bait, Santiago is a mentor to the boy who cherishes the old man and the life lessons he imparts, convinced that his luck must change. Santiago takes his skill far out into the deep waters of the Gulf Stream, where he soon looks a giant marlin. With all his great experience and strength, he struggles with the fish for 3 days, admiring its strength, dignity, and faithfulness to its identity. Its destiny is as true as Santiago's as a fisherman. He finally reels the marlin in and lashes into his boat. Because the marlin is so big, however, Santiago cannot pull it. The marlin pulls Santiago's skiff further and further from land. As the sun goes down, Santiago begins to feel a kind of companionship with the marlin. He pities the fish, even loves it, but is still determined to kill it. He decided to cut all his other lines so that nothing will interfere with his great catch. As the sun comes up on Santiago's second day at the sea, the marlin suddenly surges, pulling the line and cutting Santiago's hand. As he nurses his hand, the marlin jumps up out of the water, and Santiago can see the fish is bigger than any marlin he has ever seen, much less caught on his own. He has to hold into the line with all his might so that the marlin does not break free from the boat. He prays that he will be able to kill the marlin and wonders what his hero, Joy the Mago, would do if he were in Santiago's situation. As it grows dark on Santiago's second day at sea, he lets out a small line and catches a dolphin fish to eat. He rests for a few hours but is woken by the marlin jumping frantically. Santiago continues holding the line, although it has been cutting into his hand for some time. The marlin tires and begins circling the boat as Santiago grows weaker from lack of sleep and exhaustion. Finally, Santiago uses all his strength to harpoon and kill the marlin. Santiago ties the marlin to the side of his boat and begins sailing back towards Cuba. During the homeward journey, however, his third day at sea, sharks attack the boat, tearing the flesh from the marlin. Santiago fights desperately, killing or driving off most of the sharks, but eventually the sharks set all the flesh of the marlin. When Santiago pulls into the harbor, everyone is sleeping and Santiago struggles to carry his mast back to his shack, leaving and the marlin's skeleton is still tied to his boat in the harbor. The next day, Manolin finds Santiago asleep in his shack. Manolin is overjoyed to see him, but cries when he sees the cuts in Santiago's hand. He brings Santiago's coffee, passing the crowd of fishermen who are marveling at the marlin's giant skeleton. When Santiago wakes up, Manolin tells him he does not care what his parents say. He is going to start fishing with Santiago again. Meanwhile, as a party of tourists watches the marlin's skeleton and mistake it for a shark, Santiago drifts back to sleep under Manolin's watchful gaze and dreams of the lion's share. तो ये हमारी समरी फिनिश हो गई है, द ओल्ड मैन एंड द सी।